G'day, it's fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling from the website and YouTube channel Kangaroo Court of Australia. Now, I've just published an article titled Protecting Peter Dutton, NACC's $532 million Paladin fraud investigation is a sham. That was completed when Scott Morrison was PM. Now, that was published on Sunday the 13th of October 2024. Now, I'm not going to read you out the whole article. It's a fairly lengthy article, but well worth reading. But I'll read you out the key parts, and you can go and read the article later. Now, the bottom line to the article is that the National Anti-Corruption Commission, the NACC, did not do the investigation for the report. It was finished back in 2022, and the investigation was completed by the Australian Commission for Law Enforcement Integrity, ACLEI, did the investigation, not the NACC, and they completed back in 2022, so they've been sitting on it for a couple of years. In March 2022, Scott Morrison was still Prime Minister until May 2022. And we know how Scott Morrison liked to cover up corruption, so it's one hell of a dodgy report. And I know all this because it's in the fine print in the report. The article starts off, Peter Dutton was Minister for Home Affairs when billions of dollars were stolen in numerous dodgy deals, and one of those deals was the Paladin $532 million fraud scam. On Wednesday, the 9th of October 2024, the National Anti-Corruption Commission started the process of sweeping it under the carpet when they published the Operation Bannister report. The investigation behind the Operation Bannister report was completed by the 22nd of March 2022, when Scott Morrison was still Prime Minister. That alone says the National Anti-Corruption Commission should have done their own investigation instead of publishing a report based on an investigation that was done on Scott Morrison's watch. The whole country knows how corrupt the Scott Morrison government was and how his government set up numerous fake corruption investigations designed to cover up the corruption they were meant to be investigating. So how legitimate was the Operation Bannister report investigation, given it was overseen by the Scott Morrison government? And should the report have been countersigned by Peter Dutton, as it is almost certain that Dutton had some influence over the investigation? The Paladin scandal has not been totally swept under the carpet by the NACC, as some have been saying. Some journalists have been reporting that. But the NACC has certainly flagged that is where they are heading, as you will see in the article, as the NACC bounces from one cover-up scandal to the next. The NACC dealt with one key element of the Paladin scandal this week in the report, owner Craig Thrupp's mother and her partner cashing in on the scam, and the way the NACC dealt with it is unbelievably scandalous. Paladin, owned by Craig Thrupp, was given a contract to run Manus Island's immigration detention from the Home Affairs Department without a real tender in 2017. But firstly, let's look at the background to the NACC's Operation Bannister report that was published on Wednesday, which cleared Craig Thrupp's mother of any wrongdoing, even though his mother received a total of $1.2 million and she worked at Home Affairs. For some reason, the NACC's Operation Bannister report only investigated $223,000 of payments, which clearly suggests there is more to investigate. The Paladin scam. Head office was a beach shack on Kangaroo Island off the coast of South Australia for Paladin. Now, Paladin won contracts totaling $532 million. The profit margins were massive from 2017 until 2019. Back in 2019, Peter Dutton was interviewed, and this is what he had to say. But Mr. Dutton denied there was anything untoward about the contract. This is a distraction away from Labor's law. There are probity lawyers all over these decisions and processes, Mr. Dutton said. All of that has been followed. Now, this is back in 2019. Shadow Attorney General Mark Dreyfus described Mr. Dutton's ignorance of the Paladin tender not believable. Last week, Mr. Dutton claimed he had no sight of the $423 million contract. That's what the total was at the time. Mr. Dutton told ABC radio yesterday. And if that was so, it would be staggering incompetence, Mr. Dreyfus said. We learned that the Home Affairs Secretary, Mr. Pizzolo, used special powers to authorise a closed tender, which means they could go straight to Paladin and Paladin only, Mr. Dreyfus said. It's a tiny company, so tiny they had to be given advance money to start providing the services. Now, Mr. Pizzolo, who was Home Affairs Secretary when he did up the dodgy tender, says this about him in November 2023. He was sacked and reportedly referred to the NACC for alleged corruption. The Guardian reported Mr. Pizzolo, the long-time boss of Australia's Home Affairs Department, has been removed from the top job after an independent inquiry found he had breached the government's code of conduct at least 14 times, including using his power for personal benefit. As I previously said, the Australian Commission for Law Enforcement Integrity did the investigation, not the NACC. The Australian Commission for Law Enforcement Integrity was folded into the NACC when they started in July 2023. And I say this in the article, the NACC investigation report for Operation Bannister. There's a link there so you can read the whole 20-page report. And on page 4 it says, the Australian Commission for Law Enforcement Integrity began its investigation on the 5th of March 2020. There followed a thorough investigation which was deemed by the then Integrity Commissioner to be concluded by the 22nd of March 2022. So why has it taken over another 2 years for them to do the report? And it goes on to say in the report, on the 6th of October 2023, procedural fairness processes commenced, which is over a year after the investigation was completed. It says on the 16th of January 2024, the final report was provided to the Attorney General and the Secretary of the Department of Home Affairs as required under Section 55. On the 18th of April 2024, there was further consultation in relation to the public version of the report. But on page 7 of the report, it says on the 29th of October 2019, the Integrity Commissioner decided to commence an own initiative investigation. I say in my comment, so why did it take the ACLEI from the 29th of October 2019, when it decided to investigate, until the 5th of March 2020 to start the investigation? And it says in relation to Operation Bannister, which was deemed by the then Integrity Commissioner to be concluded on the 22nd of March 2022. If that is true, how come it took until the 6th of October 2023 before the procedural fairness process commenced by the NACC? The cover-up was already in progress under the old ACLEI and the former Integrity Commissioner, Ms. Jarla Hinchcliffe. But here's a dynamite on page 7. It also says, the September information, the Integrity Commissioner referred the corruption issue to Home Affairs to investigate, without management or oversight by the ACLEI. This was communicated to the Home Affairs the same day. The January information, on the 30th of January 2020, the Secretary of the Home Affairs further informed the ACLEI that during the Home Affairs investigation into Ms. Brown's undisclosed conflicts of interest, they discovered payments totalling $223,000 made to Ms. Brown through an online payment platform, PayPal, by Paladin Holdings between May and July 2017. The notification stated the purpose of the payments was unknown. Ms. Brown is a fake name that NACC gave Craig Thrupp's mother for their report. As a result of the additional information received from Home Affairs in January 2020, on the 5th of March 2020, the former Integrity Commissioner, Ms. Jarla Hinchcliffe, reconsidered the matter pursuant to Section 42 of the LEIC Act. She decided to conduct a joint investigation with Home Affairs into the allegation that Ms. Brown may have abused her office as a Home Affairs employee assisting Paladin to obtain a contract with Home Affairs. The investigation was designated Operation Bannister, and there's a link there in the article, so you can click on the link and read the full report. So it raises a lot of questions. Why did the former Integrity Commissioner, Ms. Jarla Hinchcliffe, decide to conduct a joint investigation with Home Affairs into a Home Affairs employee? The investigation, Operation Bannister, was totally tainted from the start. And why did the NACC sign off on the report when they know it was totally tainted? Then add the fact that the head of Home Affairs, which were part of the joint investigation, Mr. Michael Pizzullo, was sacked on November 2023 because of alleged corruption, including for using his powers for personal benefit. And it's almost certain he's been referred to the NACC for alleged corruption. The people at the NACC who signed off on the Operation Bannister report need investigation. Yes, NACC Commissioner Paul Brereton's signature is on the Operation Bannister report. So who is Ms. Jarla Hinchcliffe? On the 12th of July 2023, I published an article titled Peter Dutton's Puppet as National Anti-Corruption Commission Deputy Commissioner Jarla Hinchcliffe. Has the NACC already been corrupted? Which starts off, Peter Dutton covered up a lot of corruption in the previous government, and one of his puppets he used to do the dirty work was Australian Commission for Law Enforcement Integrity, Commissioner Jarla Hinchcliffe. After Jarla Hinchcliffe was appointed Commissioner of the ACLEI in 2020, she ended 16 corruption investigations, 13 of which were into Home Affairs. And who was the Minister for Home Affairs? Yep, Peter Dutton. Now, Jarla Hinchcliffe didn't last long at the National Anti-Corruption Commission. She left in February this year. She basically flagged she was leaving not long after they started operation in July 2023. But she has a long history of covering up corruption for the previous government and should have never been appointed in the first place. And this Operation Bannister's got her fingerprints all over it. And Home Affairs, Mike Pizzullo, they were jointly investigating Craig Thrupp's mother. And if Mike Pizzullo had his fingerprints all over the investigation, which he clearly did, then so would have his boss, Peter Dutton. As you'll see in the article, I go on to talk about other matters like Canstruct, which is a $1.6 or $1.8 billion fraud scam, which has got Peter Dutton's fingerprints all over that as well. It's pretty much like Paladin. It was a shelf company, $2 shelf company, had no assets, no website or whatever, bugger all assets, and they got a $1.6 or $1.8 billion in contracts. And the NACC did no investigation for Operation Bannister, but they've published a report with their name on it, their logo, so it gives it credibility, but it's not credible. It was finalised, the investigation, when Scott Morrison was in power. There was a joint investigation with Home Affairs, into Home Affairs. In fact, the investigation started by Home Affairs originally, so they were investigating themselves. They were never going to find any corruption. And that only happened after it hit the fan in the media back in 2019. And why has it taken 4 years? The NACC is quickly getting a reputation for being the place where corruption goes to be swept under the carpet. The same as Jala Hinchcliffe was doing at the Australian Commission for Law Enforcement Integrity. Had no integrity at all. It was covering up corruption. So is the NACC. Anyhow, I'll put a link for the article below this video on YouTube, so you can click on the link, go read the article. It's well worth reading. It's got a lot more information there about Mike Pizzullo, about Jala Hinchcliffe, about Peter Dutton. Someone in Scott Morrison's government, if not Peter Dutton, someone else should have countersigned the Operation Bannister report. It's a scandal. In Kangaroo Court of Australia's independent media, I publish a website and a YouTube channel, and I'm 100% crowdfunded from viewers like yourself, so please support my Patreon account or PayPal account. I currently have 462 patrons, donating $2,344 a month, and I need to almost double that to become financially viable. And you can donate any amount, $3, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30, $40, $50 a month, whatever suits your budget. All helps out in a big way. And the link for the Patreon account and PayPal account will be below this video on YouTube and also on my website. And please share this video on social media, and please hit the like and subscribe button. Other than that, thank you for your time and have a good day.